Hi, thank you for joining us for our Odgers Berndsen One Question series. My name is Julie McKean and I head up the media practice in London for Odgers Berndsen Executive Search. I'm joined today by Kemdi. Hi, Kemdi.
Hello, Julie. How are you?
Good, thank you. Thank you for coming. By way of introduction, Kemdi is the co-founder, CEO of EnterFive, the creators of an amazing platform called Versus. Thinking global and acting local presents a unique challenge when sourcing data in Africa. Versus, which is a textiles-backed company based in Lagos and DC, is solving the problem of the lack of quality data on African consumers within the continent. Using a proprietary listen and ask approach, Versus combines on and offline methods for brands to have actionable and competitive insights into the African market, which of course we all know is hugely important for brands. Through Versus, brands can now have a soft landing into doing business in Africa. Kemdi has a marketing background with over a decade of experience in consulting, software sales, and product development. And after a crazy year of 2020, where I think we all need reasons to be cheerful, there is almost nobody I know as cheerful as Kemdi. So I'm looking forward to hearing. What are you optimistic about for your industry in 2021, Kemdi?
Thank you again, Julie. This is awesome. And looking at 2021, obviously, it's a lot more optimistic for us, especially after the events of the year. This year saw a lot of really big historical movements globally, where a lot of people were more involved and more informed about, a lot of marginalized issues around Black Lives Matter, and in Africa especially, so many issues that were from NSARS to Congo's bleeding, and a lot of very intricate problems that affect everyday consumers. And true to our product and what we do, consumer insights on the African continent, I think it really did elucidate a lot of the differences and complexities that we are trying to solve for. And so as a result, now it really gives us an awesome opportunity. And again, I think brands are now seeing why, it's very important to not, just sort of put a blanket over the African to think that they're just, one culture or one person or one language, or maybe even one place, based on a lot of what, people can, assume when they think maybe Africa is just maybe perhaps what they see in South Africa or in Nigeria.
Yes, you said that's a real problem, isn't it? That assumption has been pretty prevalent, particularly by Western brands.
Absolutely, and that's why it's very important to even know that within these countries and these regions specifically, there are so many cultures, so many languages, and even their social political issues does have an effect in how they actually make decisions every day and brands they buy and why they buy them, and even other things that are very important to measure on a daily basis and a more continuous basis. So what we are looking forward to is actually being able to showcase a lot more of this opportunity to actually learn and appreciate these very important consumers through our product and understand the nuances that comes with dealing in the African continent.
It's very interesting, isn't it? Because I know I should say that for those who aren't familiar with the platform, that you actually do social listening as well, and interrogation kind of research on the ground with your scouts, but across lots of different dialects, don't you, in Nigeria and Kenya, and it's a really interesting year to be launching with something which is called Listen and Ask, because never has there been a better time for those of us who perhaps haven't listened and asked enough in the past to start to do so. And so do you feel that brands are going to really engage in this offering more coming through into 2021 and understanding the commercial imperative to do so?
Absolutely, and you hit the nail right on the head, Julie, because just like that human approach in getting to know someone better, you want to do a lot of listening and asking as well. You can't do either one or the other. You want to do it at the same space and time that you have. And so we've built our console to actually have an ability to listen and ask within that same console and not have to go far away to do everything, and combine the intelligence. And like you rightfully said, we have a unique proprietary way we listen, because a lot of people, when they speak on social media platforms like Twitter and have a lot of conversations, they're using local languages to communicate. They're using Pidgin English, sometimes even Yoruba, sometimes Swahili, sometimes even pidgin, variations of their language. And all of these are, obviously very important to translate well, because when we do sentiment analysis, that annotation in making sure that you can get the consistent, accurate results is very imperative for brands now more than ever. So, so what we're trying to do is not necessarily say that Western tools aren't good to do this, but we're trying to introduce a way that it can actually be more nuanced and is essentially, solve for the accuracy, so that brands can really do it better now, and knowing that we are in front of it and we understand the market, because we are obviously, members of this consumer market. And so we're in a very good position to also provide that, a much needed service at a much closer range, proximity, and accuracy that is very imperative for brands. And again, just for them to actually use this human approach through technology, through our innovation, to do much better and excel and create a win-win scenario.
That's brilliant. And when you turn your thoughts to the kind of the implications for talent, whether it be with your clients, whether they're media agencies or they're kind of brand directors or their creative agencies, or whether it's for you guys yourselves, what are the implications coming out of 2020 and this, the new emphasis on listening more and understanding kind of, dialect and that impact of different smaller kind of communities, not just homogeneously throwing everybody in together? What do you think the brands should be looking for when they're hiring senior talent for 2021?
Oh yeah, I mean, I think one thing that's important now more than ever is obviously the flexibility, understanding that digital is now imperative. Most companies were a little, at least from this side, at least from some of the things we saw, a lot of companies hadn't fully transformed into the digital movement, and they were doing a lot more, just sort of like, 50-50. But what we're seeing is that there's now a lion's share of companies that are more focused on be more adept with digital tools and be more open to investing in digital tools that would allow them operate, certain things within their functions that doesn't require them to actually be present. So I think now more than ever, it's that flexibility and knowledge, even if it's not the knowledge, but at least a research minded person that would be important to bring into your organization, who has that same sort of latitude to, be open to these tools, because a lot of them are springing up every day. Yeah. There's so many new products that are coming out to help streamline operations for companies. And so what we try to do is be one of those products, again, that are just bringing in a new way, a much scalable way digitally, that, they can use us as a research tool, a one-stop shop to get everything they need. So on the other side, the people who are using Versus or using tools like ours are just people who, again, are open-minded, progressive, and of course, research-minded, to just be adaptable, right? To how to essentially use these tools. And I think just to also, I mean, obviously the remote work situation is going to be in general almost imperative for a lot of companies to now almost make like almost like add it to constitution and a lot of their business laws, for lack of better ways to put it. It's almost becoming inevitable that alongside 5-day work week, maybe you should have 3 days remote, because remote work is going to stay. And so that openness to that, and obviously the people who can actually prove that they are able to do this well and execute well will be much more, I think, more evident in the coming years.
That's brilliant, Kemdi, and thank you very much. I think that's really interesting, the sort of combination of increased humanity, but underpinned by better technology and an understanding of how to use that technology to scale humanity is a really interesting way of looking at it. Kemdi, thank you so much, and thank you for joining us from Lagos, and I'm very glad that you managed to make it back safely from Washington DC. And
thank you so much.
And thanks for joining us on the Odd Just Bernstein One Question, and wishing you all the very best for, I'm sure, a very fruitful and optimistic 2021.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me, Julie. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Kemdi. Thanks.